One of them was self-described hard bitch Serena. I could be wrong, but I don't think Serena went around always calling herself a hard. What's up, everyone, and happy Friday. I'm a little earlier this week with my Love Island USA wrap-up, but if something juicy happens this weekend, maybe I'll post another video. But I wanted to get to it this week, and we are going to start with this article that came out from Vanity Fair, which was about Love Island, and it was really hyping up Leah and Rob as the people that made the show. And look, the article is called How Leah and Rob Made Love Island the #1 reality show in America. And you can't take away from Leah's popularity. Even though I was not the biggest fan of her during her season, you can't take away from her popularity. But if you're going to include Rob in your title, and not include Serena and Kordell, that to me is fucking crazy. And it gets worse because not only is this article about that, but in the article they decide to really shade Serena and Jana when it says at the beginning of season 6, Leah immediately catchetsed, which is some AI written word, in my opinion. You could always tell when AI is writing something because they pull out words you've only heard once or twice in your life. But they talk about how she basically put this mental energy into a friendship group. One of them was self-described hard bitch Serena. I could be wrong, but I don't think Serena went around always calling herself a hard bitch. Maybe there was some off-the-cuff comment that I don't remember, but that is how they decided to describe Serena. And then for Janae, they call her a day trader with comic book cleavage, a breathless optimism for true love, and a tendency to inadvertently stomp over conversations, smothering chat partners with affirmation in her sexy baby voice. I mean, they really went in on Janae, although calling Serena just a hard bitch, the winner of the season, not so great either. Anyway, they go on to say that this trio was composed PPG for Powerpuff Girls. So this is their way of writing, the girls. These were the girls that made that famous on the show. Why would another girl then write this article to shit all over two of those friends groups? Why do you have to tear Serena and Janae down to try and build Leah up? But not just Leah, to try and build Rob up. And if you're going to include Rob in making the show, you got to include Liv then too, because without her drama, the drama that sparked the interest in the season would have never actually happened. Now, I do think that the drama with Leah and Rob and Liv did spark the initial interest in that season. But what grew it into the giant that it was the Serena and Kordell love story. That drama was actual cinema. I have not seen reality television become that raw and real in forever. And that's what Serena and Kordell brought to the season. And the proof is in the pudding because they won the show. If Leah was just that popular, if it was only Leah that was just that popular, she would have won the show. So this article from Vanity Fair is coming after an article about Nick that I covered last week by Vulture, where they dug on Nick, which meant they dug on Olandria. And, much like that article, who wrote this article? Well, it was another hard-faced white chick. Shocker, right? Well, another shocker, which really isn't a shocker for me, is that Leah did hype this article up on her Instagram. Now, sure, it's about her, but it is, tearing down her supposed friends from the show as well. They're just such good friends. But Leah kind of tends to do this. She tends to like shady things that also put one of her friends down. I don't know. This is typical of American media, typical of white American media, where they gotta tear the black people down. It just completely pulls apart the whole girls girl narrative that society seems to be stuck in thanks to this show. It's a fallacy. It's a fallacy. Season 7 proved it's a fallacy, and Leah is still proving it's a fallacy by hyping up some articles like this. We'll get back to that topic, though I want to go to a better topic first. Let's have some positivity there. There actually was a positive article out there on Nick for once from Peele this time, where he really did hype up his relationship with Olandria, because it is closing in on almost a year since they first met each other, since he first set eyes on her. And in the article, it talked about how he recalled his immediate attraction to Olandria, saying, "I'd say the first thing I noticed was obviously her beauty and her grace. She just carries herself as a proper woman and the boss that she is. I just think that's really attractive," which Nick proved as that season went along. Anyone that was actually paying attention and can actually see signs of attraction and can actually tell when things are real and not actually fake would have seen that Nick actually was interested in Olandria. It was Olandria that was pushing him away for anything romantic that season. The narrative has tried to change since the season ended, because people have tried to find any reason to tear that couple down, which is why I've made so many videos about this couple since the season ended, because I like poking at people that are just haters for Nick and Olandria. But during that season, not only did Nick try and kiss Olandria in secret one time at one of the challenges, but would always kiss her in challenges in general, but he always was very graceful with Olandria. He was always treating her like a proper woman. If you really go back and watch that season, there was a respect that Nick had for Olandria that he really didn't have for other women on that season. So anyone who's going to try and say Nick is trying to rewrite history here really didn't pay attention to the season. It's usually these articles that are trying to rewrite history, much like, that Vanity Fair article trying to be the Serena and Kordell eraser. But this Peele article went on with Nick, where at one point he said, after forming a connection with Olandria on season 7 of Love Island, Nick is focused on protecting their relationship from the outside commentary, which they do a great job of keeping it, pretty away from the public eye as much as they can. He also went on to say, at this point, the critics and the critiques are just overdone, to say the least. And on his partnership, he said, "I've said all I need to say." Luckily for them, with the new season starting, Nick and Olandria should have the heat off of them, at least for a while, if not for a long time. He also talked about how he wants to go back to that island, our island, that we went on for one of our dates. He said about their time in Fiji, "I'd like to go back to that island. It would be cool if they can do some sort of full circle moment together." The article then went on to say that Nick will be involved in the upcoming season regardless, after partnering with Smirnoff Ice, because I guess Smirnoff is the official malt beverage of that show. Does that mean Nick's gonna host a challenge or make an appearance? Who knows? If he does do that, though, it might put heat back on him and Olandria. Season 8 should be a good time to put the heat on the newbies. As for Olandria, she was a rookie in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. And I think she had something positive to say in the article for her from there, when she made it clear that authenticity was most important to her. She said, "Don't edit my stretch marks. Leave that there. That's real life. I want to show that it's okay to have those things. It's still beautiful." Something that I think makes the people that became popular so popular from these last couple of seasons is they are real on reality TV. I think that's why Serena and Kordell won their season. They had this real, raw relationship. I do think that is why Leah is so popular. She did try to keep it real during her season. I don't know if she still keeps it real on social media these days, but she did try to keep it real during her season. Olandria has also been herself, whether people like it or not. Plenty of haters out there, but she has been herself. Someone who wasn't hating on the picture on her Instagram from Sports Illustrated was actually Ace. He caused a lot of drama for Nick and Olandria after his podcast that he did after the season. However, I feel like he was attacking Nick during that podcast. Now, in attacking Nick, he was also attacking Olandria, saying they were being scammers. However, he liked this post. Maybe he just wants the attention. There was drama that came out of that I don't really feel like getting into, but I did want to make note of that. Let's check in on some people from beyond the villa this past season. Jeremiah is still going through it on his lives, still having to deal with the fact that he is not as popular as he hoped to be after this season ended, because in his lives he's getting a lot of clown faces. He has people asking him if he regrets beyond the villa. There's people in the comments telling him to stop forcing the AAVE. You grew up around white people, which is a little harsh. There's people calling him chopped, zesty Jerry. You still chopped. The hate for him is coming. I like to talk my shit, but there does come a point that you gotta move on. I don't know if people are ready to move on for that hate for Jeremiah, though. They will be when this new season of Love Island USA starts. I don't think he's done himself any favors on social media, though. We've talked about here on this channel about how he's gone on these lives and made excuses as for why he couldn't shake Pepe's hand and why he doesn't get along with Pepe because Pepe's a big liar. But then we've seen him up Iris's ass when all Iris does is lie, and she's been caught in plenty of lies. So Jeremiah does not help himself on social media, I must say. There are these bad takes that are starting on TikTok. I've seen some people try and defend Iris. I mean, what is TikTok if not bad takes? But let's listen in.
Y'all almost gaslit me into thinking that I was the problem, but yeah, no, there's no way I'm gonna actually befriend someone that is actively trying to be friends with my ex and actively speaking on me at every given time, every time she's with said ex. No way.
I mean, I'll say this. If people want to say that Iris was not wrong when it came to Bella because Bella was talking with her ex and talking with Amaya's ex, then sure, fine. You can say that. You can say that is a reason as to why maybe Bella did not fit in with some of the girls. However, if you're using this in the vein of the whole girls thing, that is fraudulent. It is fraudulent on this show. It is not a real thing, and it needs to end. However, you can't just say Iris is not a villain.
But the whole time I watched Beyond the Villa, I was like, no, like Iris is not who y'all are trying to make her out to be. I'm so sorry. Iris is not who y'all are trying to make her out to be.
Why people are upset with Iris and why she is the villain, it's because she's a liar. She is a liar. She's twists truth. She threw Hannah under the bus when she was trying to defend herself. When, she spent 2 months defending Hannah. She switches up just to try and help her own image. She is a liar and a scammer. And I talked about this photo being brought up from after Love Island Games when Iris was all up on Mert. I touched upon that in one of my episode reviews for Beyond the Villa. Well, Mert has been weighing in since Iris's, video about why she's not in the wrong. Mert said she forgot something. So Mert even talking about how Iris may have, forgot some truth. Because that's what she does. She might have forgot that her and Mert may have been something more when she was supposed to be in the early stages of getting back with TJ. The last thing I want to cover is maybe some better takes, maybe kind of about what this person on TikTok wants from the upcoming season. This is Nat Loves Blue 2.
Things that don't need to occur in the new season of Love Island. The contestants trying to have Friendship Island. Okay, the reason it's called Love Island is because we're trying to find love, not the next new PPG. I want to see you take her man. Everyone was hyping up, oh, I'm taking your man last season, but then it wanted to be this girlhood, you hurt feelings. No, that's the whole point of the show.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The whole girlhood, the whole girl thing that's not even real, that has to end. I'm telling you right now, in my coverage of this next upcoming season, season 8, I am going to call that out when I think it is just big and fake and fraudulent.
Next is reheating the Olandria tacos. We don't want that, okay? If there's another biracial couple, don't say anything about Olandria, okay? That was so last season.
I agree somewhat here. I am going to be seeing if people are going to be trying to scam to try and be the next Nick and Olandria, if it doesn't seem authentic, if it doesn't actually seem real. Because you can tell if you watch season 7, like I said earlier in this video, that Nick really was interested in Olandria the whole time. No matter what people try and say, no matter where they try and change the narrative after the season ends, that is what was happening as the season was going along, if you actually paid attention to any time they interacted. So yeah, I do think we need to see if there's any actual authentic people, if they're trying to just be the next Nick and Olandria. However, that being said, to me, love is love, and I want to see mixing and matching of couples. If you're actually attracted to someone, then I want them to go for that. So if they are an interracial couple, I think that's great, as long as they're not trying to just be the next Nick and Olandria.
Not everybody needs to be Instagram mutuals. Also, and on that same train, not everybody needs to be an influencer. I want to see regular schmegular people who are actually looking for love and who actually are gonna try in the show.
Yeah, it'd be great to have less influencers, less people that know each other on Instagram, because that didn't really work out last season. Now did it? Casting has to do better. I do think casting and production was a big part of why last season became such a mess at times. We want to have a real Casa Amor this season, I would say. But a lot of that depends on casting. If we just have a bunch of people who are really not interested in each other like last season, then it's going to be a clusterfuck again. And I really don't want that. But we are about a little over 2.5 weeks from the new season. So the tea from this past season is running low, but I still wanted to do a weekly roundup, and I will continue to do so if there's something to talk about before the new season begins.